If you think all pads are exactly the same, think again. This is Always Ultra Thins reinvented with the Always Triple Protection System. This pad wicks gushes 90% faster, absorbs even more so you can feel dry, and locks odors in. Rethink your pad for up to 100% leak-free and odor-free comfort with the totally reinvented Always Ultra Thins. This is always like never before.
The Cavil Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cavil.
As technology continues to bring changes to the world of education, it's time we also reimagine teacher professional development. Gone are the days of one-size-fits-all learning that can only be accessed at a specific time and place. The Stride PD Center is an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that allow educators to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. The best professional development plans are those that include a level of flexibility and choice for educators. Whether you're a teacher, school, or district, visit us today to take charge of your learning.
We're going to Florida, and we're going to bring you back a victory to Jackson. God to y'all!
What you say now, Chuck? Man, you a plumb fool, man.
Happy homecoming, Rattlers. It's the ONG Strike Zone. I'm Brian Fulford. That's Kelvin Rozier. Chuck's a plumb fool because he thought he was going to come on down to Florida and get himself a dub. And there's my guy, Mr. Orange and Green himself. Kelvin Rozier, how you doing, my man?
Hey, how you doing is the question, Brian. I'm not one to tell on people, but I'm going to just say this. I think Brian got on homecoming started early. I'm just saying.
You might be right. I'm not even gonna lie to you, brother. I can
tell.
You can tell. You can tell. I forgot bro, I forgot what day it was. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I'm like, what day is it? Oh, shit. I'm like, oh, damn, hold on. We got a show to do. I'm like, holy cow.
It's too early in the week for it, man. You got to pace yourself.
Hydrate is what I need to do. Boy, I've been so stressed to trying to get stuff done. It totally, man.
It's homecoming.
It's homecoming. That's about the best we can say. Hey, busy show tonight. We are 3 days away from the experience. Actually, it's homecoming week. FAMU football preparing to take on Prairie View A&M this Saturday. And we're going to get the show started off right, because right from the jump, we're going to bring in a special guest who we're going to go right to I'm going to make sure he's good to go. I'm watching him in the green room. Make sure he's good to go. Our guy, and many of you know him well from FAMU football's own Mr. Cardell Thomas. Let's bring on Cardell. Cardell, KT, how you doing, brother? Happy homecoming week, Rattler.
How y'all doing? Happy homecoming week to y'all too.
Hey,
What's
man.
Going on, Cardell?
I like the suit, man.
We doing well.
Thank you, man. You know, I started a tradition about 7 years ago, maybe a little longer, where the whole week of homecoming I wear orange and green, the whole week, and down to the shoes. So I usually post my pictures, but I didn't do it this year. But you know, I know I was gonna be on the show, so you know, I had to represent.
I like it, man.
Well, yeah, man. Hey, so Cardell, first off, congratulations on the win on Saturday. How are you feeling? How's the team feeling? What's the atmosphere and buzz like following that win?
We feeling good. You know, we just, like I said, you know, last time I was on, we just steadily focusing on, you know, improving and just executing and starting faster. So right now, we just really trying to let homecoming be the game. Yeah, you know, we come full circle with everything. And that's really what the focus been this week. Just studying them, seeing what, you know, their personnel is and how we match up and things like that. That's really what we've been focused on. You know, just making sure we don't let distractions get to us for real and just, you know, get ready to play pay-per-view and them.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Good to hear. Good to hear. Now look, the reason we kind of brought you in here and got you in early off the bat. Now you had Kelvin had told me, you know, or we had talked about that the family was coming in town for homecoming. There was, you know, a lot of buzz about the KT tailgate potentially, and some talk about some gumbo. So Kel, I'm gonna get out the way and let you talk to us. What's happening on Saturday? Give us the skinny. What's going on?
Really, pretty much, we're starting with the Frenchtown Rising and stuff like that. Social Vegan, some people I'm partnering with. Basically, we're gonna be serving a vegan gumbo. So basically, like Louisiana style, but vegan. And basically, that's just something I kind of wanted to do because, you know, I've been hearing a lot of people just basically talk about you know, a vegan gumbo and things like that. So this kind of, you know, what we pushing with, you know, as an NIL partnership and opportunity and things like that. So that's really what's going on with that. And then on the other hand, you know, my folks coming down here, my mom's coming down here, so she probably gonna follow a big part of gumbo herself. And first come, first serve, come Saturday.
Hey, look, where do we need to be? All you got to do is look. So let's make sure we got two different things. Let's make sure we give the proper plugs for Friday, and you just got to tell us where to be on Saturday. Where be on Saturday?
I got you. Saturday. Well, we're trying to get all the details now, but right now it's looking like we're gonna be in front of the main gate Saturday, right in front of gate 1. Literally right on Perry Street, right on the corner. So that's what it's looking like we're gonna be at right now. If something changes, I'll probably post it or something just to let people know. But that's what it's looking like we're gonna be at right now.
All right, and then Friday, Frenchtown Rising. You said give that plug again. Let people know where they can come and show some love on Friday.
Friday, you can come to Social Vegan and come get, you know, Cardell's special Louisiana vegan gumbo. And really just come enjoy it, you know, come in. They probably going to offer it to you, you know, taste it, and then, you know, let me know the reviews, be honest.
That's what's up. Let people know where they can follow you out on socials.
Oh, same as always, Cardell Thomas is my Instagram. I usually do everything from there right now. And my Twitter is Cardell T62.
Nice.
Quick question. What's the non-vegan gumbo? What meats are going to be in it?
So a non-vegan gumbo, more than likely, I can't eat seafood, but more than likely, my parents, my mother, she probably going to have 2 different pots. So she probably going to have a seafood gumbo and a chicken gumbo. And then for the last home game, we trying to have a dill sausage gumbo, but that's just something like, you know, we kind of just keep it under wraps.
Yeah. Hey, so I got me a new family. Y'all can adopt me.
Oh man, that sounds great, man. That sounds awesome. Well, We looking forward to that. Anything else? We don't want to keep you long because we want you completely focused. We heard Coach Simmons. He said, "Man, we want to make sure everybody's focus is on this game on Saturday and no distractions. So we don't want to be look." What's the title say? Distractions. What distractions? We don't want to be part of that. So I'm gonna give you the last word, Cardell. Anything you want to mention again to us? You can feel free to drop another plug, handle, whatever you want to do. I'm gonna give you the last word.
Pretty much just be on the lookout for a lot of things I'm doing for us in the CBD world, the farming world. I just got my creams in, and I just got with my NFL legend friend Jamarcus Webb, and we working on something with a couple NFL teams right now. So just be on the lookout for that coming with my CBD cream. My farm, we looking at having crops starting serving probably around springtime, and pretty much everything else be posted on my Instagram, which is Cardell Thomas, and that's pretty much it. I appreciate y'all for having me.
Hey, appreciate you, Cardell. Thank you, man. Yes, sir. Be safe, be well, have a good practice the rest of this week, and we look forward to meeting your family and eating that gumbo. All right?
Yes, sir. Thank y'all.
All right. Take care now. All right. That was let me bring in Marcus here. Marcus Green in there. Marcus Green in the house. Marcus, how you doing, brother? Happy homecoming, Rattler.
Yeah, sorry I'm late.
Hey, you. Well, let's not talk about that. We better late than never, right? We're not gonna talk about that.
You doing better than Brian right now.
Hey. Better late than never is all I'm gonna say. Thank God for a quick internet. Thank you for a quick computer, Lord. Thank you, mercy.
You've been working overtime. I'm gonna cut you some slack, man. You've been working overtime. 4 shows in a row, right?
Man.
Yeah. I told you when let me see, was I? Yeah, exactly, 4 in a row, and that's what threw me off because I think I said something else. And I realized for some reason I thought it was Thursday. I don't know why I thought it was Thursday. And then I was like, oh, shit, no, today's Wednesday. What the hell? I don't know what's going on, man. But, oh, Lord have mercy. But it's going to be all good. Let me,
you want it to be Thursday so you can get on here to Tallahassee.
I'm telling you, man, look, I'm ready. I'm ready. All right, let me quick shout out to a few folks who are already checking in, who jumped in early, folks who jumped in on time, unlike your boy. Tremaine Ellis jumping in, first one in the door. Happy homecoming to you. Kenneth Rozier, family coming in. How you doing? Good to see you as well. Jimmy Matt. Old school, what up? Happy homecoming, Rattler. Appreciate Coach Rossi jumping in there. Happy homecoming to you, Coach. I think you guys took care of business this past week at homecoming there at Langston. So congrats to you. Melissa Wilson jumping in. Happy homecoming, Rattler. Amen for that. Tamara T, happy homecoming. Good to see you. Thanks for coming in. Demetra Alford, happy homecoming. Marcus, looking forward to seeing you this weekend. Happy homecoming to you. My boy, Tony Mathers, OOC, happy homecoming to you as well. Let me see who else is in there. Mary 305, happy homecoming. Good to see you. Who else? Who I see? There he is. Sam Dixie, happy homecoming, Sam. Looking forward to seeing you this weekend as well. Let me see who else. Oh, I don't want to miss Meredith. Happy homecoming, Meredith. Favorite homecoming memory, something that you can recall from homecoming, Kelvin or Marcus. Just maybe a thought. I'm just coming off the top of my head with that. So something that you care to share, I guess I put it like
that. Well, the first thing that came to mind was I think it was homecoming 88. I think we played Howard for homecoming. And I remember one of my good friends from high school, his sister went to Howard, and she was a couple years older. And she came all the way from DC for the game. And I was, young and fresh, and I was in National Society of Black Engineers. And I remember, I think our president, somehow, I don't know, all the students were together, and she had her sign up for Howard. He went over there and like snatched it. It's like, get that out of here. Just do it. So I was like, dang, that's the Nesby president, but that's my best friend's sister. What am I going to? So I was like, all right, bump it.
Good stuff. Good stuff. I love how you threw that date in there just to let people know. That's
I think it was 88 or 89. I can't remember the year, but it was back then.
Kelvin, how about you? What kind of memories and thoughts come to mind?
I black out all those thoughts. They're top secret. I'll tell you one game that surprisingly that sticks out for me, and it was a loss. Morgan State.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
What was that? That was like Billy Joe first year?
Yeah, it was at 94.
93 or 4?
93 or 94. Yeah, actually, I came down. I remember that because I was like, because I didn't go to the game because we were like, oh man, we got this game. So we were hanging out and trying to, do what young single guys trying to do at homecoming. And we, are you joking?
What is that?
Socialize.
Chasing. As they say. Chasing.
Make new friends.
Being sporty.
There you go.
As the old folks say.
New friends, being sporty. Exactly. Yeah. I remember, I think it was 94 homecoming. I remember I was helping out student government with the homecoming concert. And I believe that's the year Faith Evans came to town for the homecoming concert. And I just remember hanging out with Faith Evans backstage.
Oh.
Yeah. Just hanging out with Faith.
Faith
manager.
So Pac wasn't talking about Biggie, huh?
Hey.
Yeah, before Biggie. I love it when you call him Big Papa.
Hey, look, this is,
Big, it's Big Papa, Big Doctor.
Do I need to go back and listen to some of them songs? See if I can pick up some clues.
She was happily married to Biggie. We didn't talk about Pac. I just remember hanging out. Let me just say, it was some hard hanging out going on back there. So, some good times. And there's a few people who know, and it's just gonna remain like that. If you know, you know. Other than that, we don't talk about it. Not in public places. All right. Yeah, we got some. I see somebody telling too much in the chat room. I'm gonna have to put some people on silence in the chat room. Slow down.
Hey, I noticed that.
Yeah, slow down in the chat room. Slow down, y'all. A little too much now. A little too much.
There's one comment I think you missed a couple up.
I'm sure I did on purpose, probably.
Yeah.
So
right after, go check out the one after Chuck Hunt about the vegan gumbo.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know. Are you able to? Let me see. Chuck Hunt. Let me see. Where is it at?
It's the one right after it.
Where's Chuck Hunt? Okay, Chuck Hunt coming in. Happy home. The one where he says Happy Homecoming.
No, vegan gumbo.
Vegan gumbo. I don't know where that is. Hold on, I didn't.
Yeah.
Are you guys able to start it? What? Yeah. I see. Oh, yeah. Kylan. Yeah, we tried. Kylan. Yeah,
we did.
I did. I made. I was a little late though, so it's on me. But that was. Let me just say, it was kind of a. Marcus and I were working on how to pitch the appearance on the show. Let me just put it like that. We're working on how to pitch it, and so unfortunately, maybe it was because of short notice. that we weren't able to get that guest. But needless to say, the distraction committee will be, I'm sure, in attendance. We just got to see what the membership is looking like on Saturday afternoon, 4:00. We want to give Prairie View as many reasons to be distracted as possible. Okay. I started some of these, so I'm gonna make sure to come back to some of these shout outs and stuff here. But we got to talk. We always like to talk the show. Obviously, it's special when we get a special guest like Cardell Thomas wanting to come in and talk to us. We'll jump on that in a heartbeat. But we got to talk about championships, baby.
Champions.
We got to talk about championships because FAMU's got another SWAC champion in its midst. And that's these ladies right here. As earlier this week on Monday morning, FAMU added the first SWAC title of the 23-24 calendar year, academic year, I should say, the sports calendar year, with a cross-country championship, as the Rattlers had 5 runners inside of the top 25 to finish with 63 points, which was 9 points better than second place Alabama State, who had 4 runners in the top 25 and a 5th runner that finished 42nd. So just in case you weren't familiar with how they do the scoring, the top 5 runners are the ones who actually they take the scores of the place, rather, the finish of the top 5 runners, and the lowest number is the team that wins. So FAMU had, again, 5 runners in the top 25. Alabama State also had 4 runners in the top 20, but because their 5th runner finished 42nd, and we actually what's funny is our 6th and 7th runner finished ahead of that 5th person. So, I mean, we had some room to spare on that. But again, once they do the total math, even though we didn't have the number 1 runner overall, it still doesn't matter. And so congratulations to these Rattlers. I heard anybody who heard the Willie Simmons live show what Monday night. One of the young ladies was on, and I forgot her name right off the bat already, and I hate that. I don't have my page pulled up here. But I think her name was Lauren. And I want to find the name, but Melvin Beal.
I'll take care of that.
Oh, you got it? Okay, thank you. Well,
give me a quick second.
Yeah, so Melvin Beal had a great interview with her, and she's one of the more experienced runners on the team. She actually is more of a track athlete than a distance cross-country person, but she was saying that this team was very young, but 5 of the 7 young ladies who finished in that top 41 all ran personal best. So, we're talking the top finisher, the number 3, 4, 5. Everybody had their personal best. And, that's awesome. You talk about running.
That's what you want.
Best. Yeah, running your best at the right time. Were you able to pull them up?
I give one quick second. I'm looking at the graphic now.
Well, I'll mention a few names because the way the SWAC does their all conference team is usually the top 5 runners make the first team, and then the next 5. And so, of course, we had 3 young ladies in the top 10: Serenity Williams, Nia Coleman, Sierra Barrera.
And those 2 are freshmen, Nia Coleman and Sierra Barrera.
Correct. Yeah. And I think Serenity and Sierra ran personal best, if I recall seeing from off of FAMUathletics.com. So that's
correct.
Yeah, that's how.
And I think the young lady who came in the top 5 for us, I believe Serenity, maybe she was number 6. I think she's a junior, so we do have a young team.
Yeah. Oh, okay. It was Lacey. I'm sorry. What I said the name? I don't know. It was Lacey Dubosky. That's who.
Yes.
That's who was on the show the other night. Lacey. She finished with a personal best. She finished, like I said, she finished just outside of the top 5, but she finished like 27th overall, which was still better than the last place runner from Alabama State. And so one more recognition, Coach G, Garfield Ellenwood II. Coach was named Coach of the Year.
Congratulations, Coach.
Yeah, congratulations, Coach G. Did a great job assembling this group. I mean, this was unexpected. Unexpected. Right. Yeah. Right. And so it's cool to see again. The ladies that participated, Serenity Williams, who finished 6th overall. Nia Coleman finished 9th. Sierra Barrera finished 10th. Then you had Alicia Douglas, who finished 14th. Jillian Salmon, who finished 24th. Those are your top 5 runners. Then, of course,
she's a freshman too.
Which one?
She snuck in on me. I didn't see her signing, but she snuck in too. Jillian Salmon.
Okay, yeah. So that's at least 3 freshmen right there. And then, of course, you had Lacey Dubosky finished 7th. Madison Gordon finished 41st. That was your top 7. Also, Ava Kaysen and Jordan Garnett also finished. But again, when you had these young ladies that finished with personal bests, Williams, Barrera, Douglas, Salmon, and Dubosky all finished with personal best times. That's what it takes. And you know, it's funny. I remember when we were talking to Coach G. You know, we were kind of talking about the strategy of points, and you know, we were kind of talking about how it seemed like some teams were winning SWAC championships off their distance runners because they would have, you know, people running in those early meets, which were the distance races. So you know, it could be a foreshadowing for the spring season when we get to the spring season, you know. Coming up a little bit later in the show,
and we hosted too the championships.
Oh yeah, yes we did. That was at the
Appalachia Park. That's Appalachia State Park, I believe.
Yeah. Yes, it was. Indeed. Coming up later in the show at the top of hour 2, we're going to get into, you know, we always like to bring in special guests. And we got some friends of the network, friends of the family coming on the show in the second hour. We have none other than Dr. Kenyatta Cavil and Charles Bishop, both of Dr. Cavil's inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Doc is a Prairie View alum. Charles is the play-by-play voice for Prairie View football games. And of course, I mean, they got plenty of SWAC hours. So it'll be good to kind of talk about the history, which, you know, some interesting history. You know, 2 teams that haven't played each other since, I think, 1958 is the 58 or 59 was the last time that Prairie View and Florida A&M played, you know. And, of course, Prairie View has a special place in Coach Simmons' heart. That's where he got his first head coaching job. Of course, on Saturday, he got his 60th career win against Texas Southern. And so that's to be recognized as well. But that's what's coming up. So let's do this. Let's take a short break, come back, and we'll talk about that game on the other side. Kelvin, against Texas Southern. Do we have our other guest, Kelvin? I was curious. Do we have our other guest we talked about potentially coming in this next segment?
No, I didn't bring him on.
Okay, so that gives us a chance to really talk about this Texas Southern game And we got to talk about our volleyball team being in an unfamiliar place as well. So we'll do that on the other side. You guys hang in there. Promise we won't be long. You're watching the ONG Strike Zone right here on the Black College Network. We'll be back in just a moment.
Yes.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Oh. Okay. Ah. Oh. Hey, I'm trying to get crunk. C-R-U-R. Tell them how we gonna go. Tell them why they don't hold on. Tell them why they better run. Stand up and get crunk. Stand up and get crunk. Okay. Here we come to get you. Okay. A little bit on here we come to get you. Okay, you better get here we come to get you. Yeah, a little bit on crazy. Yeah, that's what we gonna do. Right. That's how we keep bringing it. We drop and everything you pop here.
Florida A&M University marching band.
All right, welcome back to the ONG Strike Zone. Brian, Marcus, Kelvin here. Hope you enjoyed that video during the what might be our normal commercial break. That video. Now, look, I'm trying to figure out. I think that was a video put together possibly by the university. I know. Shout out to our good friend on the Twitter Spaces at FAMU Videos, Parody Rattler. But that's where I saw it. I saw it earlier in the week, and I just was like, I gotta put that into the show. I don't, that's a dope video, and that's one of those. Again, like I said, if the university put that together, that is an awesome promotional video for homecoming. That is awesome in so many ways. I think that thing captured the old school vibe, the new school vibe. I think it captured everything about homecoming. Wouldn't you guys say?
No, it was fire. I love it.
Yeah, it captured a lot.
Marcus, why you say it like that? Marcus, there was a scene in there that must have caught you, huh? Somebody you must have seen in there, Marcus. What? I said that.
Don't call that man out.
I'm sorry. Let me just stop. All right, moving on.
Yeah, it's homecoming.
Yeah, it's homecoming. Yeah, so shout out if that was the first time you've seen it. I know we retweeted it. I'll show it one more time. during the show. Let me go to a few more shout outs to a few more people. Kylan Chavis, happy homecoming. Good to see you. Lawrence Brown, happy homecoming. Sweet, happy homecoming to you. Chuck Hunt checking in from Monroe, Louisiana. Good to see you, Chuck. Jay Brown checking in. Let me see. Good to see you. Happy homecoming, Rattler. Let's see. Any other? I'm sure there's some
Kenya
other
Sykes.
folks in there. Kenya, happy homecoming. I can't find her. She's in there. I see Ashton. Happy
And
homecoming.
She might be in Tally.
Yeah. Oh,
So
yeah.
make
Okay.
sure
We had heard Kenya was coming in town. Dr. Lori, happy homecoming, Doc. Good to see you. Let me see. Anybody else that I didn't catch? Yeah, I'm just scrolling, catching up. Boy, Tony, you know too much. You're talking too much in them chat rooms. Boy, I'm gonna have to delete some of the messages I'm coming across. You're telling too much. You're telling too much, Tony. Stop it. He's snitching. Exactly. You stop that. Stop that. All right. So FAMU goes to Texas. First game off a bye. Get a 31-21 victory over Texas Southern. We were down 14-0 at one point in the ball game. That was definitely sending people, sending the haters into a frenzy, sending the upset alert flags flying and the bells and all the other stuff.
Sending some of the faithful into a tizzy.
Well, look,
not necessarily a tizzy, but pause for encouragement of the team to perform up to its capabilities.
But and then we end up scoring 31 unanswered. I going back, and of course I didn't watch it live because at least the first half, because I was working the game up in Jacksonville. But going back and watching the first half, obviously there were plenty of miscues early on. So, should we have been down 14 though? Probably not. That game probably, or should have started off a little bit better. Kelvin, you were there, you were in the house. From your perspective, what was the energy like? What was your description of what you saw from those opening, that I'd say that first quarter and a half, really probably even the first half, before we finally scored with 33 seconds left in the second quarter?
What energy. The thing about traveling in the SWAC is that you don't have that same energy like we have in Bragg. We definitely have a home field advantage. They crowd light. They don't dress in colors. You saw orange and green. You couldn't really tell who was Texas Southern fans because a lot of their fans just came in regular clothes, no colors. And of course, there wasn't a lot of energy. You think 14-0, them jumping up 14-0, what the hell was some questionable officiating and some drops and some turnovers on our part that that they would have been in a frenzy. But it never felt like we were in trouble the whole time. So this is what you get with this team. This team, they're gonna play in spurts. They're gonna give you 4 or 5 scores in a row, and then they're gonna shut it down. And it's right now, it seems like it's in the second half. So we have to live with it and hope that it don't come to bite us.
And is it crazy enough to think that nobody in the SWAC is really that strong? I don't think anybody in the SWAC has really played a good 4 quarters. Nobody in the SWAC has really had a game where they've just looked really great. I mean, everybody looks flawed to some degree from what I've seen. Marcus, what were some of your impressions of the early start there?
I was kind of disappointed. I mean, there was this drop when Manigo was wide open. I mean, they had a busted coverage, And if he would have caught the ball cleanly, or he would have caught the ball at all, he could have moonwalked in. And the one thing that surprised me was, at least the first half, I know Texas Southern has a dynamic running back, but it seems so easy. I mean, it seemed like we were crashing in or caving in, not gap sound, and he was just basically cutting back and, or doing gosh, can't think of it now. Just basically cutting back, and then it was like wide open, all this space. Another thing that was a little disappointing in the first half was probably we had some of the execution, but once again the drop, and then when we had a chance to tie the game, I believe the interception. So it was kind of like kind of choppy. And also I agree with Kelvin on the crowd. I mean, I know they're in a MLS soccer stadium. I think the capacity is around 25,000. But when they panned the stadium the few times that they did, I was like, how many people are there? I mean, I was just kind of surprised at the lack of capacity. I mean, I didn't expect it to be 25 full, but it did seem like there was more orange and green. In fact, I saw one of my classmates in the crowd. Didn't know she was in Texas, and they zoomed in on her for a quick second, and I was like, ah. And it seemed like that kind of game, like the energy was kind of blah.
The reported attendance was just under 9,000, and that soccer stadium capacity seats 22, apparently. So that was shocking to me. I really thought more Rattlers would have been there, and maybe I don't know. I always feel like I overestimate things. Probably, I don't. That's a product of other things, I guess. Definitely, it does appear. Yeah, there probably were more fans. I would probably say of the near 9,000. I would roughly, unofficially, sounds like there's probably about 7,000 Rattlers there versus, maybe 2 from Texas Southern. I don't know. Kelvin, you could speak to that or guesstimate as best as possible. That's one of those things always hard to tell. The running back, Ladarius Owens. Was Ladarius Owens probably the best running back that we've seen this season so far? He had 100.
Definitely. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Best running back. He had 138 net yards on 19 carries. He also, his special teams. Now, he tore it up from a special teams perspective against Bethune. He had 63 on us on 3 returns. So he almost had 200 yards of total yardage in the contest. Jeremy Musa had 180 yards passing, threw 2 touchdowns, did have the 1 interception, even had a rushing touchdown in which they went with the good old tush push, as now it's become the phrase for that play now. And he even scored a rushing touchdown. I think that might have been the first touchdown of the game, with 33 seconds left in the second quarter. And so we went to half trailing, and then broke out the whooping stick in the third quarter, scoring 21 unanswered. Kelvin Dean led all Rattlers rushing with 83 yards and a score. I think he had a big 49-yard run there.
It's good to see him break out.
To give FAMU the lead. Terrell Jennings added 49 yards as well, an average of 5.4. Jamari Gassett had 3 catches for 77 yards and a touchdown to lead the Rat Boys. General Hunt led FAMU's defensive effort with 3 sacks, 2 tackles for loss. 3 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, and 2 sacks. Lovey Jenkins had 3 tackles and an interceptions. Here's a name I'm glad to hear. Sharif Say. had 4 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, a sack, and a forced fumble. That's a big guy. Remember, we talked about him in the spring, and so good to see, another edge rusher to add to our already dominant front. So yeah, I mean, any other? I'm just kind of browsing through. Trey Wilhoit, 3 punts for an average of 47 yards per punt. So he did really well. FAMU converted 8 of 17 on third downs and held Texas Southern to 4 of 12, which I think is one of the nation's best. If I'm not mistaken, FAMU is definitely in the top 10 in terms of third down defense in the country. FAMU was 3 for 4 on fourth down. We won the time of possession 38-29 to 21-30. Outgained Texas Southern 435 to 309 with a 255 to 131 advantage on the ground.
Yeah, Brian, according to our press release, our game notes, we were second in FCS and third down defense.
Okay. Yeah. I knew we were right there. Any other thoughts on this game? FAMU improved to 6-1, 5-0 in the SWAC, 3 games away. Our magic number is down to 2.
One thing it seems like, and I'd have to go back or depending on you guys' memory, I don't know if we capping ourselves at 31 or not, but it seems like we just can't get past 31 points.
Yeah.
What is the deal?
Yeah, we've hit 31 about 4 times now, right?
Yeah, I think so. And we can't cover a 17.5 point spread either. That's what I keep noting. But I told y'all that a long time ago. That's one of those things. I think we have been favored by that number 3 times this year, and I think we're 0 for 3. Let me see. We scored 31 against.
Yeah, we've hit it 3. West Florida, Valley, and Texas Southern.
Yeah. I don't know. Hey, you know what's ahead in I hate to look that far ahead, but that last home game is going to be the one that everybody's going to look at now. If we can't score 40 to 50 when everybody else in the HBCU universe has scored 40 and 50 against those jokers, that's going to be the one that's going to really tick people off. But we're not focused on that. That's a ways away. So we won't even think that far. Yeah, one game at a
Brian.
time. Yes,
we did rush for 255 yards or something like that.
Yes,
as a team, and what helped the running game, and I was glad to see it, was we ran more outside runs which opened up some of those gaps in which we bust, like the one Dean bust. And those outside runs with those Gassick and Sharif, they were very successful. They constantly got outside, and I think our depth, and this is I think the issue is going to be for any team that we play moving forward, is that our depth, because we play so many guys, both on the offense and defensive side, after the first half, I think we had wore them out. And so, of course, third quarter, we just kept at it and was successful. But I really think we have advantage in terms of depth. But those outside runs did help our running game. So,
and we talked about that in our preseason and in the first game around our depth, where we're basically stacked at every position. If you just look at the numbers and the potential of the new players, we hadn't seen them in action yet, but just like a defensive end, running back, and offensive line, wide receiver. And we know that we had 20 wide receivers on the roster, just looking at the names. And so, just from a depth standpoint, I don't know to what degree any, the current team or future teams could just roll out the people that we have, even with our slow starts.
Yeah, statistically, this is one of the games where Musa threw probably to the fewest number of guys. Speaking of the receivers, he only threw passes complete to 7 guys. Gassett with the most yards with 77. Jamarie Shareed with the most receptions with 6. Kareem Burke caught a touchdown pass. Jamari Gassett, we already mentioned. Marcus Riley had a pair. Kamari Young, Kobe Gross, and Kelvin Dean each had a reception. The rushing attack, though, everybody from Dean Jennings, who we mentioned, Shareed on a couple jet sweeps, Jaquez Yant, Musa's running, Leland Wilhoit got a couple carries, Kareem Burke. I mean, look, we had 3, 4, 5, 6. We had just as many people rushing as we did receiving. And again, 38, I think, what I say, 38 minutes? I mean, think about that. We ran 76 plays and had the ball for 38 minutes. So you talk about that fatigue factor. Yeah, we nearly had the ball for 3 quarters compared to what Texas Southern was able to put together. And, they still individually had some nice performances from Owens, and then their quarterback threw 3 touchdowns, but he was also sacked 3 times through an interception. So from that perspective, I've said this before. I think we have to stop looking at this team through the prism of the Billy Joe era. I think we have to stop looking at this team through the prism of the 21 season, which the 21 team was a better rushing team than this team. Obviously, we had Bishop Bonnet, and points per game was probably better from the 21 team. And I think we also, within the SWAC itself, I told you guys in the preseason, Jackson State put up one of the most dynamic offensive and defensive seasons combined last season. And I think everybody in the SWAC is looking at our teams, because I hear it across the board from different folks. Nobody's offense is performing like they expect it to perform, right? But I think, again, we saw a really high-level offense last year in Jackson State, and I think we don't want to admit it, but we're all kind of looking at our offense like, man, we should be able to do that. Yeah, maybe we should, but that team was pretty doggone special. I mean, so I think you just got to kind of look at the entire landscape and maybe have a different viewpoint on the team. Any other final?
Standard is the standard.
Yes, the standard is the standard, and it really I think it drives home that whole mantra that Coach Prime had last year, and the way that he really drove that home of holding guys to, because it's real interesting listening to Coach talk about his frustration with almost the psychology of this team, and the fact that these are young people, and that this team is, I don't know if we want to call it underachieving, maybe underachieving by fans' perspective. But
not just fans. They're slightly underachieving by their own standards, right? The key that they have 42 seniors and grad students on this team. This team has played a lot of ball. They played under this coaching staff for a while. It ain't too many years you get an experienced team that's also talented and deep. And so we have all 3 of those things. So of course expectations are elevated. And we're the best team in the league, but we almost have to be challenged every week in and week out, right? You don't really get this team's attention until they face some adversity. And by game 7, you want to see teams improving, doing things better than they did in week 1. And we have not done that yet. We kind of stayed the same.
Right. Mm-hmm. All right, let's get ready to transition to another short break. and come back with our guests. We're going to get into talking about this upcoming game number 8 on the schedule against Prairie View A&M. We're going to have our guests, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil and Charles Bishop from inside the HBCU Sports Lab. They're going to be coming on and joining us, and we're going to get into talking a little bit about this matchup and a little bit of the unique history that sits behind this contest. And so we'll do that and more coming up after this short break. You're watching the O&G Strike Zone right here on the Black College Sports Net. We'll be back in just a moment.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties. Through its programs, Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentjax.
The human voice has always connected audiences with experiences. Major brands all across America have trusted Kever's voice time and time again. Conversational, powerhouse, intelligent, and sincere. That's the voice you need for your creative marketing process. KEAVERSVOICE.com. Kever's Voice, Kever's Voice, KeversVoice.com. Always on, all the time.
Nope. Nope.
Come on, him?
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less.
He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
All right, welcome back to the O&G Strike Zone. Brian Fulford, Marcus Green, Kelvin Rozier, and it's good to have on some BCSN family joining us right now. None other than Charles Bishop and Dr. Kenyatta Cavil. Of course, Dr. Cavil is inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Doc, Charles, how you doing? In gear.
I see you, Doc. Represent, Doc. Represent.
This was especially for you, Kelvin, because I know you come with it. I said I can't let him have all the fun. I'm coming in here hard.
Wow.
Just for you, my brother.
That is a nice jacket, Kevin. Wow.
I had to match it. And Charles know this. Charles know I'm new in terms I do my show, whatever, but we're going to have a little bit of fun today because there's a lot of history in this program that I'm extremely proud of. And so I'm glad, was happy and excited when you all checked the boxes and the board said yes of y'all becoming the 11th member of the Southwestern Athletic Conference. I knew it was going to be a difference maker for this conference. And so I'm excited about this opportunity.
So just so people who aren't familiar, of course, Doc and Charles, the show inside the HBCU Sports Lab comes on every Tuesday night right here on the BCSN network, 7 Eastern, 6 Central, Tuesday, Thursday, and then Sunday morning recap from the Saturday games. Doc, of course, being a Prairie View alum, as you can see, and then Charles has the unique perspective of being the play-by-play voice for Prairie View this year. So look, before we get into history, which, Doc was just mentioning, Charles, I want to ask you, what's it been like covering this team in this unique role, doing play-by-play for Prairie View this season?
It's been unique. It's been unique in terms of looking at how looking at the Prairie View culture and learning what Coach Buck McDowell is trying to get done with regards to this team. They're a talented team, no doubt about that. But I think one of the things I've been talking with Coach McDowell, and he's been a little bit frustrated in terms of they take 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But it is a talented group of guys, and I've watched them, and they work hard. They go at it, and they put paces in and whatnot. And they've had some success, but they've had some setbacks this year. But it's a good team to watch.
Okay. Let me go over to Doc here for a second and let's start to unwrap a little bit of that unique history. And I'll be honest, look, we were talking about it. Charles, you and Doc, you guys got SWAC hours. You guys have put in SWAC hours, not only as SWAC alums, but you covered the SWAC way longer than we have been doing this particular show. And so the unique thing that I think came out of working with Doc a couple years ago was we did this piece called Dynasty Makers. And, we were talking about, I think this was after Nick Saban had won his last championship and the media was going buzzing about it. And we got into talking about, the thing that Saban is doing is not unique in college football, because people like Jake Gaither and others, Eddie Robinson, and others have been putting together these kind of runs. And then we came across a coach. And like I said, I wasn't familiar, but Billy Nix, former head coach of Prairie View A&M, who in his own right was running a dynasty at Prairie View right around the same time as Jake Gaither was at FAMU. So, Doc, talk a little bit about this unique history that's there between FAMU and Prairie View.
Let me first talk about that. This goes back to 1936, and this is before our most legendary coaches, I would suggest. FAMU, Jake Gaither, and you all obviously have that history. Correct me if I'm out of line. But on our side, in terms of Prairie View, that was Billy Nix. Before then, though, there was a game with Sam B. Taylor, who was the coach at Prairie View A&M head coach, and William Big Bill Bell was the coach at FAMU. Obviously, as y'all know, Jake Gaither was an assistant on that staff. Well, Prairie View's overall record against FAMU, to give you some indication of these matchups, is actually 4-2. Now, they hadn't played in forever, particularly when you get in the state of Texas, and I might get a chance to share a little more of that. But the overall record was 4-2. But Nick's record head-to-head against Jake Gaither, and Gaither had a winning record against most of these legendary coaches. Nick's record overall was 2-2. He was 1-1 in the Orange Blossom Classic for a championship, so he earned 1 championship against Prairie View. We got FAMU to come to Texas one time playing the Prairie View Bowl, which was actually founded before the Orange Blossom Classic. Oldest bowl out there, or one of them out there in terms of that history. Unfortunately, unlike FAMU that found a way and a legacy to keep the Orange Blossom going, the history of these black legends and other coaches were fighting to desegregate. I don't like to say integrate because there's a difference, right? Integrate is when individuals and people go both ways. They were proud of their HBCU history. They were proud of the championships they had earned. They were proud of the Negro League championships, but they knew right was right. And they wanted to desegregate because they wanted to give their players, fans, options. They had no framework that HBCUs were little than, that they would be little. It wasn't because they wanted to play, because they had something to prove it. Let's make sure we establish that real quick, because some people are confused out there. They sought to desegregate because they saw injustice. Jake Gaither was a pillar of that. And he fought, like many of the coaches, Billy Nix, to desegregate NCAA and NIA. The NIA opened the doors first. We see a lot of that in terms of HBCUs joining that. Most of that we see on the basketball side. But it was also fought on the football side. Jake Gaither and Prairie View had great teams in 63, 64, among many other years, 50s and 60s. But the year that FAMU and Prairie View had great teams, FAMU probably could have got a bid. But they had a governor in the state of Florida that got in the way. And while we've had some questions about our governors in Texas, I don't want to think y'all are outside of the norm in the Deep South. We've had them too. Somehow it missed our governor at the time and probably now. And so Prairie View earned the bid. But it was because these coaches fought for that. And Prairie View actually played in the first football desegregated championship game. Unfortunately, history would have it that the quarterback, that was the first quarterback drafted HBCU, or not drafted, but played in the NFL, obviously, but wasn't allowed to play quarterback. He got hurt in the semifinals game and didn't play a great deal in the finals game, and they lost to St. John's of Minnesota. Oddly enough, they canceled the Prairie View Bowl the year after that. But guess what? Both teams had great teams the next year, but neither one of them got a bid. So sometimes we need to understand the importance of what we had, because we'll give it up for something and they'll move the marker as if we earned it and didn't earn it. And all of a sudden, we not only do not get the access that we deserve, but now we lost the heritage and history that we had. And that actually happened to the Prairie View Bowl. A rich bowl with a lot of history. And for the great FAMU fans out there, all you got to do is think about the history of the Orange Blossom Classic. It was just as powerful as that. Same type of matchups, oftentimes named the championship. But to kind of sum this up, not to get too long-winded, Prairie View was 3-1 in that OVC. 1-0 in that Prairie View Classic. And oddly enough, we got FAMU to come to Prairie View and the campus. We'll see that again next year as y'all return to visit. They were 0-1. FAMU came down and got it done. Well, let me get to this. In 1936, Prairie View won 25-0. The Panthers were 4-4 and 2 at the end of that season. The Rattlers were 2-4 and 1, 2-2 in terms of conference. They did play in the Orange Blossom Classic in Jackson for that game. Prairie View ultimately lost in their Prairie View Bowl to Tuskegee. This was the final fact. In 1937, Prairie View won 27-14 over FAMU. That was the Prairie View Bowl. That was January 1st, 1938. It was played in Houston. Panthers was 6-4 that year. Did not win the SWAC, but the SIAC champs was 7-1-1, which was FAMU 5-0-1 in the SIAC. 1953, Prairie View won 33, FAMU 27, Orange Blossom Classic. That one was in Miami. This was a quintessential matchup. SIAC champs, FAMU 10-1, 4-0 in the SIAC. Prairie View comes in out of the SWAC champs 12-0, and they were 6-0 in the conference. Co-national Black College Championships, Panthers Rattlers shared also with Tennessee State. 1954, FAMU won 19-7 over my Prairie View Panthers. That was the one that was on campus in Prairie View. Another matchup between champions. The game was played in the regular season, though. SIAC champs were your Rattlers, 8-1 overall, 4-0 in the SIAC. The SWAC champs were Prairie View, 10-1 overall, 6-0 in the thing. So the long loss for Prairie View that year was from the Miley Rattlers. They were co-national champions again, Black College Championship Rattlers, Panthers. But they also shared, oddly enough, with North Carolina Central, Southern, and I believe gave FAMU that long loss they had, as well as Tennessee State. One of those gave them the loss. 1958, Prairie View 26, FAMU 8. Orange Blossom Classic in Miami. SIAC champs again were the FAMU Rattlers 8-1, 5-0. The SWAC champs were 10-0-1. It was Prairie View 5-0. National Black College Championship, Panthers were unanimous champions in 1958. They beat Langston in the Prairie View Bowl to cap off that fine season. Well, 1959, the Rattlers were looking for a little revenge. FAMU wins 28-7. Orange Blossom Classic in Miami. SIAC champs. Rattlers were 10-0 overall, 5-0 in the conference. SWAC was 9-2, 6-1. National Black College Championship goes to the Rattlers, and they were unanimous in 1959. So that is a little bit of history there for the Prairie View A&M Panthers and FAMU to let you know that you should be proud of this matchup. A lot of history. Charles brought this out of me when Jackson State and FAMU was showing up and showing out the last 2 years, opening up the season. And so I wanted to make sure that Prairie View put its rightful self in the place it should be. Unfortunately, in the 80s, we had a major drop-off. Nobody's excuse but us. And I think that has allowed a lot of folks to gloss over the rich history. But I thought this would be the perfect show to do it because there are not a lot of places out there like FAMU that really respects their history to that level. So thank you for that moment of time in the sun in the shine.
That's well said, Doc, because that little moment in the 80s does kind of cloud people's perceptions a little bit. But every university has a period in the valley. You know, we certainly had ours, so we understand. Everybody has a period. Marcus, go ahead. I'll let you get in there with some questions for Doc or Charles.
Yes, just based on what you've observed from the teams thus far, and based on Charles' analysis, it sounds like Coach McDowell has a little bit of frustration with, I guess, some of the, I would say, I guess my term, maybe inconsistent play. And we definitely know Coach Simmons has some frustrations with inconsistent play or not playing up to the capability. Who do you think gets frustrated first?
That's a good question. Since we're on the road, I'd say we're probably going to start out pretty focused in this game. We'll be focused. So probably FAMU, and they kind of have a history of starting off slow. The scary part is, can we do enough damage when they turn on that catalytic converter and that engine? Are we enough to be able to fight them off and get it done? So I would say FAMU would show the first degree of frustration. I would say that Kelvin really put it out there well when he talked about the concern of many folks that FAMU has not played up to their expectation, right? When you're seeking a championship, you want to play at a very high level, you know, and we talked about this on Tuesday on the show. A lot of that is because of the recent memory of what Jackson State was able to do the last couple of years, that's in the forefront, particularly when you talk about the rich history of FAMU. People are looking for that protection, you know, particularly with Joe Taylor, Billy Joe for sure, that they're chasing that. And I asked Coach Simmons after the game at Texas Southern University, and he gave an interesting component of that. He said this day in this society is really hard to work with young folks, not so much because they don't hear it themselves, but the world really, particularly in this country, speaks of individualism. Everything is about the individual, right? I got to get mine, you get yours. And some of the wealthiest people in this country, you know, while they may have some good benefactors that they do in humanities, but a lot about what they show out to the world is about their individualistic self. So naturally, young folks are going to seek that. Football is the antagonist of that. You really need folks to come together to play as a group. More than probably any other sport, football requires that. And so you're actually, in a lot of ways, working against the norm to get young folks to do that. So even if you're talented, that is a challenge. And you're asking them to replicate that week in and week out, essentially. That's a challenge. And I think as proud fans, sometimes we don't give that enough thought. And I'm not saying that we should. I'm just giving you a framework to consider.
Thank you, Doc.
Yeah, I echo Doc. I mean, I think when you take a look at it, I don't think there's any doubt Prairie View will probably come in very focused. What concerns me, of course, I think from a frustration standpoint, with everything going on in FAMU, with homecoming festivities and things of that nature, and just the prior history of them that started slow. It was kind of interesting to watch them this past week against Texas Southern start slower than I expected. So it was very interesting to kind of watch, Texas Southern actually able to get some things done with the running game and things of that nature. But, when they put their foot on the gas, their foot is on the gas, and it becomes a feeding frenzy. We used to talk about that with Jackson State a lot the past couple of years, that one good play begets another good play, begets another good play, begets another, and we saw that 31 straight points. So Prairie View has to figure out some type of way to combat the series of good plays to kind of interrupt that, because it becomes a feeding frenzy. So I'm curious in terms of looking at that aspect of it.
All right, well, thank you.
Hey, Kelvin, what do you got for Doc and Charles?
I want both of them to speak on the season for peer review thus far. What their analysis is. The Houston Baptist, I believe, game, it seemed like it was one of those just bad games. Well, what happened there? But just talk about the season so far, the up and down.
I mean, the Christian schools have given them all sorts of problems. Abilene Christian, Houston Christian, but it's a team. They have talent in their veteran ball club as well. They veteran offensive line, which speaks to the fact that they can block really well. I mean, they have a bevy of running backs, starting with Ahmad Antoine. He's fifth in the SWAC in rushing, and he didn't play in the Houston Christian game, so that was a chess piece that was off the board. But you also have Caleb Johnson and Connor Wisham. Another one is Jamarius Brooks, who's giving them some great quality time coming off the bench. But I guess the frustrating part is they've had, penalties, or they've had mishaps at just inopportune times. I go back to the Abilene Christian game. They moved the ball up and down the field. They got in the red zone, and they had a couple of turnovers in the red zone. We've seen too many times this season where they would be marching and things are going great, and then inexplicably, there's a mental error, a pre-snap mental error, and those are the things that are really frustrating. Or one of the things, especially on the defensive side of the ball, the right play is called. The guys were in position and didn't make the tackle. That is something that gets under Coach Bubba McDowell's skin, because he kind of chuckled like he can't count how many times that they've had the right something called and just the play wasn't made. And sometimes that's just a byproduct of football. It happens.
Yeah, I would say the word of the day that you're going to get out of this that's probably going to frustrate you. You're going to hear it so much. You'll be like, all right, can y'all use a different framework? But it just holds true. The inconsistency. I mean, they're just very inconsistent. And I'm saying this can be from drive to drive. Sometimes you think quarter to quarter, a half to half. It can be drive to drive. And I wonder at some point, do they just almost have too many toys? I mean, because they have smaller receivers like Kobe Cavil, Brian Jenkins, that are very shifty, can catch, out 4 yard and turn it up and get you 12, 15 yards. Then they have big receivers that can go over the top and fight a defensive back and catch a touchdown over the air going deep. You got the quarterback, as we talk about, in terms of what he's able to do. He doesn't use his feet very often, but he's very elusive. And if he decides to pull it down, he can get going and get you big yards in terms of Trayvon Collins. Comes from Duncanville, a very proud high school program that regularly makes to the 6A championship, which is the highest level here in Texas. And so it's a proud program. They finally got over the hill once he left and won the state championship after losing to the Houston team North Shore for like 3 straight years, something ridiculous, 4 years before they finally got over it. But he comes out of that program. So he has a winning mentality and a winning framework, but sometimes he'll get inconsistent in terms of passing. Sometimes he'll hit it and he'll be right on the dime. You'd be like, man, where that at? Then he'll come back and he'll throw it in the dirt. So, and then you got running backs that are powerful. Sometimes the running game is going and they going, and kind of you got the transfer from Valley, you got a deep backfield, and they can chew up yards. Then other times they seem to be hurt, injured, nicked up. They don't get the ball, or they get the ball and they only get 1 or 2 yards. The front line is not. So really, it is a team that has a lot of talent. And so I think if I'm a FAMU person and I'm really looking at it and I'm looking at this team, that part would concern me. That this is a team, you know, that has a lot of talent, but it hasn't been consistent, and that's probably why they were picked for it. And they kind of wear that as a chip. And so I think they're going to go in this game trying to make a statement and saying that we for real. So it'll be interesting to see, can they play at that level and how long can they play at that level? And then you get the attitude with FAMU. You know, FAMU's the type of team when they kind of get tested, you know, they get a little, you know, snake bite. They get a little mad. And so they going to push back. And so once they push back, Prairie View has to be ready to push back again too. And obviously I'm saying within the rules of the game, but you know what I'm saying is you got to be able to give it and get it in this matchup. And you got to get into that attitude that we talking about. This is Texas players against Florida players. And people have a reputation to uphold in regards to what they look like.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna bring it.
Good point. Good point.
Yeah, that's
good stuff.
That's
stuff.
That's a good point. That Florida versus Texas thing. Hey, you brought up, Doc, a little bit about TreZon Conley, and if I'm not mistaken, besides Jeremy Musa, Conley was one of maybe, I think there were only maybe 3 returning quarterbacks, the other being Alabama State. And so, you know, obviously Musa got a lot of the preseason praise, but you know, people were really thinking that Conley, who I was just looking at the numbers, passed for like 1,400 yards last year, 11 touchdowns to 6 INTs, and really people thought this was going to be his year to sort of maybe come from out of nowhere, or maybe sort of surprise some people with his production. And even though he's thrown for already almost 1,300 yards, so I mean, by comparison, he'll probably surpass the number yardage. He's only got 5 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. So I mean, that part is kind of underachieving. How would you describe his performance? If there's another word other than inconsistent, I mean, what do you think those struggles for him come
He won't be
from?
going to the dictionary. I'm gonna keep it up and down. I think you were being kind with it, saying that he had some folks. He was off the radar, and one of the reasons is because how he played last year. He had some really big games. I mean, I think he was the National Player of the Week last year in one game because he just lit up the board. I mean, it was ridiculous. 5 touchdowns, like 3 passing, 2 rushing, something crazy. But then he had another game where he threw multiple interceptions and just had an off game. Some of them are not always his fault. And, you know, you know this about quarterbacks. You've seen this with your quarterback. Some of the balls are hitting off the wide receiver's hand and going up in the air as if they're giving it to the other team and wonder why they have an interception. They blame it on the quarterback, but the ball hit the man in the hand. The dude had an obvious bad route, cut it short in terms of the first down, not getting to the sticks. So it's not always TreZon. I do need to say that. But TreZon is, you know, the challenge you have is the expectation at Prairie View that probably people haven't really gotten to because you don't see us chattering in the social media platforms. But there are fervent fans out there. And the expectation for Prairie View, particularly with the budget they had, they think Prairie View in the state of Texas with the athletes I told you, they think Prairie View should be winning. So there is a lot of concern that they're not winning at the level that many people in fans of Prairie View want them to. And so as the quarterback, you're going to get a lot of that blame, even though it's not always him, to be fair to TreZone in terms of what he does. I would like to see him use his legs a little more, but I think, he believes that he needs to sit that back there and use his arms because that's what they tell our quarterbacks. And he probably doesn't necessarily like the idea of the dual threat quarterback, framing. But I think he would be even that much more dangerous if he used his legs. He's also dangerous that you're going to watch out for this game. When he breaks out of containment in the pocket, he does look to pass the ball. So if they're not careful and they break containment because he can run, and he might give you one a game, and he catches the linebacker sneaking up and the safeties looking in, he can beat you over the top because he'll get it there in regards to that. And so that's where he also gets dangerous when he's breaking that containment, not just necessarily in the pocket, but when he breaks it one way or the other, particularly to his right as a right-hander, he can make some big-time plays and pick up some big yards. And he has the receivers that if they're ready to go, they can beat you over the top.
Doc, you hit on something that I was really interested in terms of when you said maybe they have too many toys. Because I think that sometimes I hadn't thought about that, but that seems to be an issue from time to time. I mean, he'll get something going, and then just the inconsistency part. I know we keep harping on that, but it's maddening because you will see guys get open, things of that nature, and sometimes it's taking a check down or things of that nature. But this game, I mean, I think if TreZone can look like the TreZone Conley that brought his Purdue team back from 17 down late in the third quarter versus Texas Southern, or that 8-play drive versus Alcorn, they got in field goal range. They are very formidable. When I say they have the athletes, they absolutely have the athletes. Big receivers that can get over the top of the defenses, the shift guys that can work the middle, and they have a running game. They are a formidable team. So that is, for me, the part that has been very frustrating watching them because you see all the pieces are there, but they just haven't quite put it together, or they put it together at odd times.
All right. Marcus, Kelvin, you guys want to get any last questions in for Charles or Doc?
One quick one. I guess one of the things I noted over the summer or during the transfer period is that you got former Valley running back Caleb Johnson, but I don't know to what degree has he been a factor in the offense. I don't see a whole lot of statistics from him, and that was one of my big concerns when the schedule came out, and then I saw that he transferred to PV.
I think in some ways still trying to figure out a consistent role for Caleb. And like I said, they've introduced another running back, Connor Wisham, who's a legit home run threat. But they've been kind of splitting carries. I think Ahmad Antoine is the bell cow back. But they've still been trying to, I think, work through trying to figure out how they want to use Caleb Johnson, because in a lot of ways he mirrors exactly what Ahmad and Connor Wisham do in the backfield.
Yeah, I think a little bit of injury too has gotten him a couple of games here and there in terms of his inconsistency. I think at times the line has not blocked as well as they thought they would. And so they hadn't been able to lean on the run as they thought they could. And some of that has been a little bit of the injury on the offensive line as well. I think they planned early to run the ball much more and be more effective, which would allow Caleb Johnson to be in there. He actually had one big game, but outside of that, as you said, he hasn't had the breakout type of game. With him and Antoine being similar in terms of what they do, oftentimes you'll get where one kind of gets going and they might switch it out, and then the other one is not quite lathered up. Both of these guys, to me, are guys that need to get the ball 20-some times, and then they weigh on you, and it's later in the game where they become more effective. And so, again, that's where I get you. We're talking about almost having too many toys. I'm not sure that we are allowing one player to be as effective as they can because you're switching them out, trying to be fair to both guys or multiple guys, and it has caused some situations where we haven't been as effective as we could be. Last thing I say on the defensive side, I hope y'all don't go off on your wide receivers. I see there's been some questions in terms of what you're doing with the deep ball, but we've had some concerns with our cornerback play a little bit. Obviously, it's early, and so I don't think the coaches, they're probably looking at the tape, so I'm not putting anything out there. But that's probably been one of the toughest spots in terms of our defense. People being able to get a couple of big plays over the top in games. And so that's a concern of mine in this matchup. So I'm really interested to see how Ahmad Robinson and these guys will end up playing in terms of what they do from the defensive backs during this match.
Yeah, but echo that. I think getting to the quarterback has been an issue for Prairie View's defensive line as well. Only 10 sacks thus far in the season, so they just haven't been able to put a lot of pressure on quarterbacks, and that's put pressure on the secondary.
Kelvin, you want to jump in there? Any last questions or any comments? Anything you want to add?
But both teams sound very similar thus far. I mean, you sound like us a lot. But Doc, I wonder if you have any insights to why we've only played like 6 times. And as you chronicle that, it seems like it was mostly in bowl games or championship matchups, and that was mostly the only time we played. But 50-some years is a long time not to play, 60-some years. So why do you think that is?
Great question. I think early on, the reason was probably natural, was the challenge with travel. At that time, they were traveling by train. Obviously, you had the desegregation issues where you stayed. They stayed on campus at that time, usually in old dorm, or oftentimes they would literally stay in the gym on cots, historically, if you think about it. In the modern era, what also happened is you had expansion. So as you notice when I was talking about those conference records, people were winning the conference with, 6 games, 5-0, 6-0. So the conferences weren't very big. So early on, you could play more non-conference games. So with Prairie View being in SWAC, FAMU being the SIEC, you could play some more non-conference. As you start getting into the 70s and the 80s, the conference expand. FAMU going to the MEAC, and you talking about 7, 8. Before long, in 89, you had 9 teams. So you're talking about an 8-game schedule. Same thing with the SWAC, 7, 8-game schedule, right? And which means at that time you're playing 10, 11 games. You only have 3 non-conference games. You're going to play, an FBS team. You're going to play your rival, which was Tennessee State for FAMU, right? And so it started being harder to get each other on the schedule. And then I think it really fell apart when we took our huge dip. And when we kind of raised, obviously FAMU was taking a dip. So the ability to play and recreate that history and arrival dissipated because of those 3 different things: conference expansion, the distance, and then just the dip in the play for institutions at various times. Great question. Great point.
I just thought we've been talking all this time. We haven't really talked about the relationship of Willie Simmons to Prairie View, and the fact that that was his first job as a head coach. I mean, coming from Alcorn as an offensive coordinator to Prairie View, and then leaving Prairie View to come to FAM. What's your? I mean, how big of a hurt was that? Obviously the departure, but maybe what are some things?
That's a really important question when you talk about it. I don't think the term you can use with Prairie View would hurt, because he was only there 3 years, so folks were just kind of getting the learning. He jumped out on that first year and went, like 8-3, had the lone loss to Grambling, or they would have been fighting for a championship, obviously. So, I had a great relationship with Simmons. I hated to see him go. I knew he was going to do well at FAMU. I knew it was just a matter of time where he would have had Prairie View in the championship regularly. So I was concerned, obviously. Had a great relationship with Ashley. A lot of credit to Ashley. for making him the coach. There were some folks that had concerns. Some of the old school Prairie View wanted a Prairie View guy to kind of get the job. He was smart. He kept KJ Black on his staff when he was there, and actually took KJ Black with him, which hurt a lot of us in terms of that, because KJ Black is probably a coach that a lot of folks would have liked to see coaching. Some of them wanted him over Bubba. I thought it may have been a tad bit early, but he's certainly ready now if it doesn't work out with Bubba. But that was part of that in regards to what took place. And credit to FAMU. It was going home. And so people really couldn't be too mad. Now, there's some deep-rooted Prairie View folks that are all Prairie View, just like FAMU. So they don't think anybody should see any place greater than the green, God greens, purple, and gold earth that you got in Prairie View. So they were mad. And once he left, they were ready, good riddance and all that kind of stuff. And turned the chapter really to Dooley, which I thought was another great hire. And oddly enough, he essentially went home, if you would, to Southern. So we've been snake bitten, if you allow me to use that word, in terms of getting great coaches. Exactly. Getting great coaches that essentially gone home. Obviously, Simmons has had a little more success than Dooley has recently, but hell, Dooley went to the championship 2 straight years. Last year at Prairie View, first year at Southern. So it's fascinating to see what that looks like. The other thing that was unique during that time frame, we've changed athletic directors or VPs of athletics during that time, which is some disjointed, which obviously FAMU can relate to that as well. And you know how that inconsistency can play out in athletics, particularly with football, which really needs to be everybody being on the same page. So there are a lot of similarities in a lot of ways between these programs, but I think that is a hidden jewel to look at his old team coming back to take him on. Now, there's a few players on this team that had him. You know, most of them are Dooley players or Bubba players, right? But there's some of them that remember that, and they want to do well for their former coach and let him know that they didn't necessarily like that he left. They understood it. These are smart kids. They understood it, but they want to be able to make a statement as well. So that's going to be fascinating. I can tell you this, though. The fans want to give it to Simmons. They want to make sure that they meet him out there. Now, this is what I told Simmons. I say, we're going to be in the championship game, and so I want to see if y'all going to join us. Looks like I'm going to lose that bet, and that's where a lot of that stake conversation comes from that you hear on the media thing. That's kind of what that reference is, because we would meet annually as he was a coach here, and I would take him out to a steak dinner just to tell him thank you for the work he was doing. And so we kind of put a stake on that. I also told him that we're going to get to Atlanta first at Celebration Bowl, meaning Prairie View. And it looks like he's going to beat me on that. So it might be 2 stakes. So two stakes. Y'all make sure y'all tell him to hit the exercise machine. But we're going to see if we can put an L on him before he gets the championship, either now or certainly when we return back over there for the SWAC Championship game.
Charles and Doc, I have not heard anybody, including coaches or players, say anything about being a homecoming opponent. Is there any chatter on about that?
Yes.
Oh yeah. It's funny to me because the new SWAC schedule puts that in a way. It just happens. You can't escape anybody. You've seen this conference matchups to matchup with some natural rivals, some new rivals. You can't get away with it. It's going to happen. But it doesn't mean coaches won't use it as an excuse. The players are using that excuse. Because you got to remember, there was a time in history where Prairie View was falling in the most recent framework of Valley. And I need to be careful I put Valley. We finally got a little revenge on them, but Valley stood in the way the last 2 years. So as Mike would say, Valley, I'd be like, don't say that no more. Don't say that no more. But, Prairie View for a while was homecoming band. So they have taken it back, and as they went on to win and reestablish the program, people stopped putting them on the schedule for homecoming. So for FAMU, quote unquote, the new kid on the block, to put us as homecoming, there's some folks that feel a little something about
that. Charles, anything you want to add there on the on the Simmons front, or or anything you mentioned. You know the homecoming talk is out there.
Well, I always wonder what if, because from talking to Coach Simmons, I remember him saying that he had some interest in a particular job in Jackson, and at that time, Jackson State went with Harold Jackson at the time. So there was a chance that he could have not gone to Prairie View. He could have been coach at Jackson State.
Well, you got the AD instead.
That's why I was over here chuckling. I was like, wonder what if.
It's funny. It's funny how that all plays itself out, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Imagine if you would have left Jackson State for FAMU, but you talking about the
Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh,
miserable.
Oh.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I know. All right, let me add. Okay, so I'll get you out of here on this, guys. How if Prairie View were to be successful on Saturday, how would it happen, Charles and then Dot?
They've got to get some hands on Jeremy Musa. I think that is the big thing. I think when you took a look at that Texas Southern game, they were in and around him early. And it just threw the timing of the offense off. I think that's going to be huge for Prairie View. It is to try to create some sort of pressure to try to get to Jeremy Musa, because although I think FAMU established that running game, it didn't happen until the second half of the Texas Southern game. So for me, it's got to be putting some hands on Jeremy Musa, throwing that offense out of rhythm, and let the homecoming festivities kind of take their natural course of things, and you just let it play out. You gotta play full quarters here.
I like that one. I put number 2. They got to do the time of possession, meaning they have to be able to run the ball. They have to keep the ball out of FAMU hands where they become even more disjointed. If you do that, if you left FAMU getting a rhythm, things get to going for them, and then they can even run the ball on them. So you got to make sure that you stay on the field, running the ball, short pass plays, getting some yaks after catches, and then making sure you're putting the points on the board. More touchdowns than field goals, but at least getting some points at the end of the day. And the third thing, as we always say, is the turnover. You cannot turn the ball over at homecoming on the road. You just can't do it. So they got to find a way to hold the rock and not turn the ball over. So I agree with number 1 with Charles, and that would be my 2 and 3 things that Prairie View, if they're successful at those 3 things, they should win the game.
All right. Charles, we'll tell you, or you pass the word along to the young men of Prairie View to watch out for the distraction committee on the sidelines, try to keep their focus forward.
I did my homework.
They've been active already.
Don't tell them nothing. Don't tell them nothing.
They've already picked off one. My goodness.
Hey,
yeah, I got the whole playbook. I know. Yeah, I turned it over. Coach Bubba McDowell, he got it.
Well, look, y'all may find out like Grambling and UAPB in the 2 previous years, but it will be hard to focus.
Like don't talk ugly. Don't talk ugly.
No,
get off the show.
I got y'all. Hey,
come and get some barbecue.
Yeah, make sure.
Some beverages.
Yeah, make sure you
We're
stop by.
gonna go ahead and go down there and get this game. We're gonna run the table, and we'll be gracious hosts. We'll bring you back. Come on down here to Greater Houston. We'll sit you in the hotels, feed you some steak, and then we'll come over there
and give you
down to the Prairie View.
And give you
a nice state-of-the-art stadium.
Real barbecue.
We'll send you back home, and we'll head to Atlanta.
See, look at that, boy. Gracious SWAC folks. See, at least y'all gonna feed us. You know, them folks from Jackson State, they don't want to feed us. You know, at least y'all offer to feed us. Them nasty jokers. No offense, Charles. No offense, Charles. But
they'll feed you. They don't feed Southern. FAMU, maybe it's that. They fed us.
Yeah.
They were just fattening us up for the line.
Yeah, don't feed Southern and FAM. Yeah.
Everybody, make sure you guys check out the Dr. Cavil's
It's that playoff
Sports Lab.
They still haunted by that playoff league.
Tuesday and Thursday night, 7 Eastern, 6 Central, right here on the Black College Sports Network, and Sunday mornings, 10 Eastern, 9 Central, and that's your best recap, your first recap of Saturday's HBCU games. So hopefully Doc and Charles won't be too down on Sunday morning, and we'll get a chance to see them looking fresh and spry, ready to deliver the news to anybody who missed it. All right, guys.
One last thing before you
go
off,
ahead.
Brian. I do want to say this about the ONG. I'm really proud of what y'all doing, Kelvin. Marcus doing great work. Obviously, Brian, work with you. Keep up the great work. It's important. Obviously, we started the 1876 Sports and Culture after this show and after the pregame show. So it's important that these shows are out here for the individual institutions. We try to do it, obviously, as a whole. But what you all doing in a lot of ways is just as important, if not more important. And y'all do a great job. I come on here all the time to support and listen and learn. And so I appreciate the work you do. I know it's a labor of love and a lot of labor that people may not really understand the efforts that y'all put in. And a lot of it is financially out of your own back pocket because we're not necessarily at a position where we're getting that money over the top. We have enough to get it done, and we appreciate those sponsors. But great work, and keep up the great work.
Appreciate you guys. Appreciate you guys.
It's hard to beat up folks when they knife to you. Setting you up, baby.
All right. Hey, we'll see you guys in Tallahassee, and safe travels, and we'll chat a little bit later. Don't forget, tomorrow night, 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 Central, Dr. Cavil's inside the HBCU Sports Lab, breaking down the rest of the games going into this weekend across the HBCU diaspora. So, Doc, Charles, thank you. Appreciate you guys. And everybody else, hang in there. We're going to take a short break. Watch this great homecoming video to get inspired for this upcoming weekend. And we'll come back and finish up the show with some volleyball talk and some predictions for this upcoming weekend. You're watching the ONG Strike Zone right here on the Black College.
KG, we go way back, baby.
Yes.
Hold up, wait a minute. Oh. Okay. Ah! Oh. Hey, I'm trying to get crunk. C-R-U-R. Tell them how we gonna go. Tell them why they don't go. Tell them why they better run. Stand up and get crunk. Stand up and get crunk. Okay. Here we come to get you. Okay. To get you a little bit more. Here we come to get you. Okay. Here we come to get you a little bit more. That's what we gonna do. That's how we keep bringing it. We dropping everything you pop here.
Florida University Marching Band.
We're going to Florida, and we're going to bring you back a victory to Jackson. God the yard!
What you say now, Chuck? Man, you a plum fool.
I hit the wrong button there. Welcome back to the
plum fool.
I know I'm a plum. I didn't mean to put Chuck out there twice. ONG StrikeZone right here on the Black College Sports Network. Brian, Marcus, Kelvin. That video. Shout out, I guess, a lot of that stuff. HBCU Go, FAMU. Whoever put that together, man, I gotta chill. I almost got a tear thinking about just every homecoming that I've been to as an undergrad, and then the few that I came to as a grad, the more recent one. I mean, that video just it makes your mouth salivate, brings a tear.
Stir it up.
Stirs up the emotions, man. That video, that thing should be played all over the internet, and I would encourage all of y'all. That video is all over social media, so if you don't have it, go to our feed, retweet it, man. Share it with your friends. Let them know. Post it on your socials. Let people know that this is what homecoming is like. The greatest homecoming in the universe, and we ain't got to have the on Earth. Damn it, we the greatest homecoming in the universe. I just put it out there like that. So, the experience this weekend. Happy homecoming, Rattlers. All right, let's talk a little bit if we can. We gotta do a quick recap here before we get into the football talk to go into this weekend and wrap up the show. We got to talk about the volleyball situation. Situation is what we're gonna call it. Unprecedented territory for our Lady Rattlers, as we've lost 2 games in a row for the first time in SWAC play, and to both Alabama schools in unprecedented territory, because we had never lost at Alabama State before, and we had never dropped a set to Alabama A&M before. Both happened over the weekend. As you can see, we lost the State 3-1. Alabama State is unbeaten right now in the SWAC. So they are starting to separate and really kind of making a strong case that they will be the 1 seed in the tournament. The first set in which FAMU won, we never trailed that one 25-20, but the next 3, they just put it on us. 18-25, 16-25, and 16-25. I mean, we weren't even really in those. Brooklyn Watts had a team high 14 kills. Brooke Hudson had a team high 10 digs. Emerald Jacobs finished with 8 kills and 8 digs. But what I found interesting in the Alabama State game, guys, Alabama State had 9 aces. Those are service aces. We only had 1. And for those who are unfamiliar, an ace is a serve that goes unreturned, essentially. Alabama State had 8 blocks in the match to our 4, and we committed 22 errors to Alabama State's 15. So just not what we are used to seeing, but this team has this team has to find themselves here as they start the second half of the SWAC regular season. And then, of course, the loss 3-2 to Alabama A&M. As I mentioned, I went back and looked at the history. We were up 2-0 on Alabama A&M. So, again, the 5 previous times we had played Alabama A&M, we had never given up a set to them, and we were on our way to doing it again. And then something happened in that 3rd set. We lost 22-25. Then we lost 19-25, and then lost 13-15 in the 5th set. Alabama A&M had 67 kills to our 49. We committed 26 errors to their 20. And it was the fifth set. How do I say that? The 8th time that we've had a match go 5 sets. We're 3-5 in those. And 4 of the 5 losses have been by 2 points. So it's like we're right there. And then one play in that 14th point, with essentially the score tied at 13, something happens and we just kind of end up losing those last 2 points. And I mean, those 4 games, I mean, a couple of those were against some Division I opponents. And yeah, so you guys, any thoughts there on the past weekend for volleyball?
Well, yeah. At the beginning of the season, we lost. Well, Dominique Washington graduated, and then
2 times
Ozzy Jones. Yeah, Ozzy Jones didn't come back, so we had some experience and some height and athleticism that left, and we had 4 to 5 freshmen come in. So we knew it was gonna. I wouldn't quite call it a rebuild, but we knew there was going to be some retooling. So we're still looking to find ourselves, and I think with our record this year, we've probably had more conference losses this year than we had the last 2 years combined, if my memory serves. I think we only lost 1 game each year in the regular season.
Yes,
or 1 match. So I guess we went 15-1 or whatever, how many ever we play in the conference for 21 and 22. So, but we do have 5 freshmen, and I think Ayani Sanford has been newcomer of the year at least twice, maybe 3 times. And so we're still getting acclimated. We have youth, and it looks good for the future. And I'm not cashing in the season because we can finish out strong and still make a run through the tournament. But this is an opportunity for growth and improvement and see where we are and just go from there.
Anything you want to add there, Kelvin?
Yes, this must be about the 4th or 5th game where we were up 2-0 and couldn't close the team out. So, that's kind of been a thing since the beginning of the season, frankly. And I believe Marcus pointed out some really important points about the youth of the team and learning to play at the level and the expectations of our program with its history of being dominant. It's just going to take time with this team. The other thing I would say, 2 things that kind of stand out to me, and you hit on one of them. We have a lot of errors. When things go wrong, it takes a couple of sets sometimes for us to get back on track. We tend to have a really bad set or 2. And if you look at it, it points 2 things that are pointed out: the errors and the serving percentage, hitting percentage, and just in general, they tend to be real low when we drop sets, and within that set, when it's going bad, we don't seem to have the resiliency that teams in the past have to fight through and impact our will. So, I just attribute to a new team, young team. They still playing well, but as Charles and Doc say, and so as Coach Simmons, inconsistency.
Yeah,
that's been our biggest issue.
Well, and what's funny is even with that inconsistency, we're still bringing, player of the week honors, whether it be this young lady right here, Camila De La Rosa, who earned her 4th SWAC honor of the season. And again, a Rattler has been in the SWAC player of the week honors every week this season, 9 weeks. Every week there's been it's either been Camila De La Rosa, Brooke Hudson, Iana Sanford, Brooklyn Watts, and for De La Rosa, she recorded a double-double in the Alabama A&M game with 16 digs, 34 assists. Also had 3 blocks in that contest. And so she's doing it all kinds of ways, not only as a setter. And I see a couple people, Kylan with some great comments about our defense and whether we have the defense to be able to overcome this year. You mentioned Aja Jones, that being a big loss. But I kind of thought it's interesting when you sort of have to rebuild, which look, we lost some really talented players and we replaced them with talented players, but it's while we've done that, guess what everybody else has done? They've gotten better. As case in point, when you go and look at the standings, and I think that's the next slide I got. Okay, well, that's the players of the week there for Camila De La Rosa, as well as the folks from Alabama, A&M, and State. But when you look at these volleyball standings, look at where we are and look who's in front of us. I mean, these are teams that we were smoking the last couple seasons, right? State, Prairie View, Alabama A&M, Jackson State. I mean, the rest of the conference has gotten better. We knew it was going to happen. We just didn't know when. But it's like the rest of the conference has raised their game up. And, it's kind of left us right now in 5th place. So that's kind of interesting. We're 6-4. I think again we split with Alabama A&M. We beaten Jackson State once. I believe we beaten Prairie View once, and then we've been swept by Alabama State. And then Texas Southern, who we're tied with, we've lost to them once. So that the tournament seeding is going to be interesting. I think obviously you want to be.
I don't think it matters for us though.
You don't think so? You don't think it matters to be on the other side of the bracket from State? You think it's just get there?
For us, I mean, we've played State. We know how they play. We've won a set against them both times.
Yeah.
So anybody outside of State, we already confident that we can beat. So I really don't think for us. For other teams it'll matter, but for us, I don't think where we see is going to matter as much. What we do need to do though is to finish the season strong and go on a win streak, close out the season, get some momentum going into the tournament.
Now, one thing I would add, just came to my mind in terms of our team, and I haven't looked at the stats, so I haven't really looked at our team and the conference as a whole. But it seems like Brooklyn Watts has been kind of quiet the last few weeks. I mean, she was SWAC Player of the Week at least once, maybe twice early in the season. But it seems like after that tournament in South Carolina, where I think she may have stayed home for whatever reason. I don't know. It seems like the same performance level, and perhaps once again, it may be elevated expectations based on her preseason accolades and last year's splash. That it seems like it hasn't been to the same level. It's not a criticism of her. It just seems like there's been a marked difference, and it gets highlighted by her absence, conspicuous as it is, from the SWAC weekly players of the week the last couple of weeks. And she's arguably one of our best players between her and Brooke Hudson. And I mean, actually, we got quite a few. But if all four of them are at the same time, then we're pretty much on point. But it seems like Brooke's been a little quiet for whatever reason.
Well, but hold on. Maybe it's more so what other teams are doing. Maybe it's more so we just have a dynamic setter, libero, and Iana Sanford. What is she, an outside? But what I'm saying is, I think some other schools, like if you go back and look, I don't know about the stats, but the young lady there from Alabama A&M, I gotta imagine she won that award probably based on her performance against us in that 3-2 set. I mean, where the team had what I say they had 67 kills.
Yeah.
And I bet you I didn't look at the stats, I could, but I bet you anything, you go and look at her kills and she probably had over half, if not 2/3, or maybe a solid half of those kills, I bet went to her. And then the young lady who's the setter from Alabama State, she just got to the 2,000 career mark. I saw a repost from the SWAC. So, it may just be, it's going to be interesting. Like I said, it's going to be interesting to see what the SWAC players of the week are, because our young ladies are in the hunt. Camila De La Rosa, Brooke, Hudson, and Watts, even though she may be playing well for us, just compared to the rest of the conference, other people are just having better days or better matches.
Yeah, she's leading our team in points by a wide margin. Yeah, by at least 70 points.
Yeah, so I don't. It's always interesting when you kind of try to analyze a sport like volleyball when really, and I'll be honest. I mean, I'm a novice at understanding what I'm looking at. I mean, but I can just go by numbers, and I can watch and go by numbers and go from there. So, that's something to pay attention to. Here, this upcoming weekend, there's another cluster of games, and the Rattlers are taking these next 3 matches in Daytona Beach. So these games will be played on it looks like our first one is on the 29th, which is Sunday. So no conflict with homecoming. We take on Alcorn Sunday morning, and then later in the day we take on UAPB, and then on Monday we take on Grambling. Conceivably, you would think, based on, again, the standings, that we could go 3-0. We probably should go 3-0. We probably should sweep all 3. But at this point, we haven't closed out. Yeah, I wouldn't. Let's just see how it plays out, and take it one match at a time. That's what these ladies are gonna have to do. So again, if you can get to Daytona Beach. And I don't know whether this is at Bethune-Cookman or if this is at one of the arenas or somewhere at Daytona. I probably should have researched and looked at it. But I'm looking at the times, and I think it feels like these are like a multi-court facility. I mean, you got 2 matches starting at the same time. So it kind of, I had to do a little research and try to figure out where these matches are being played. So just in case you want to travel out to Daytona, or if you're leaving Tallahassee and you want to go check out these matches, I'm sure you can do that as well. All right.
Now, one thing, we're getting a lot of promotion. I see from NCAA.com. They had Michaela Chester, their volleyball beat reporter, swing through, I think, earlier in the season. But it seems like at least once a week, maybe twice a week, they're parsing out the footage and interviews they had from their visit. So I've seen at least 1, maybe 2 video clips on Instagram this week from NCAA.com, from their official website. And of course, FAMU Athletics has retweeted it. But once again, that's good promotion for our program.
Yeah, that's a good point. So, I mean, when they were in town, it looks like they recorded a few different things and have, like you said, repurposed it over the course of the last few weeks. So there was the special with Brooke Hudson. Good to hear her thoughts and comments on why she chose to come to FAMU and what that experience was like for her. And then I think they had Brooklyn Watts previously, prior to the feature they did with Hudson. So,
and actually this week they released like a I don't know, mic'd up segment with forgotten Miss Todd. I can't remember her first name. Let's see, Kalia Todd.
Okay. Yeah.
So I think they released that this week, and I don't know if they had 1 or 2 segments with Brooke Hudson, but I saw one earlier this week as well. So I don't know if it's part 2 or if they just refreshed the one from a couple weeks ago. But they've had different segments with different players that they've promoted from their official website, which is always good.
Okay. So that's the volleyball report. All right, let's kind of just come back to the football and kind of begin to wrap up the show with that. Of course, these are the scores from this past week. Nothing too much in terms of drama. Kind of interesting. Jackson State 21-6. It's hard to go to Mississippi Valley, I guess, huh? Must be really hard to get a win on the road in Mississippi Valley. Everybody, you know.
I watched a little bit of that. Valley had chances they squandered.
Well, Valley is Valley.
I mean Jackson State. Definitely played. I'm not downplaying Jackson State's play, but I think it was pretty. It could have been more competitive, but the penalties and miscues on Valley's part didn't keep it as competitive as it could have been. But it was basically 7-0, 14-0 for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Alcorn went to UAPB, won 31-7 on their homecoming. Looked pretty impressive. A good crowd there at UAPB, 13,000. I think they were about 80% capacity of that stadium. So even though UAPB is not having a great season, it was good to see that people showed up. Southern taking on Bethune-Cookman in I want to say not Alta. Is it Altel? Altel Stadium in Jacksonville, where the Jacksonville Jaguars play. This time it would be the Southern Jaguars with a 28-18 victory. Also, that was pretty much a 21-10 or 21-11 lead. They got a late score there. There's your SWAC standings through week 8. Of course, as mentioned, I said FAMU's magic number is 2. They essentially need to win against Prairie View, who is sitting at first in the West. And Alabama A&M needs to lose this upcoming week. And then FAMU will own the tiebreaker over Jackson State and Alabama State with 2 games to play. And Alabama A&M would have 3 conference losses. So that would pretty much eliminate them. And FAMU could win the West. And basically, fellas, according to the time of these games, essentially by the conclusion of the Magic City Classic, by the 4th quarter of the game Saturday, we could know whether we are Eastern Division champions. So that's just to kind of something to be scoreboard watching and be thinking about. But Coach Marv, I'll answer your question here in just a moment. Appreciate you coming in and joining us. The homework assignment, I've done the homework. If you were watching Doc's show last night, did I? No, I didn't give it on Doc's show. So, yeah, I got the homework assignment done, Coach. I'll give it to you here in just a moment. But we got a full week of SWAC games. This is the first full schedule. All 6 games, all 12 teams playing each other. This week and next week are the only 2 weeks in the season that you get 6 games all playing against each other. As you can see, the schedule there, Bethune is traveling to Grambling State. That game is going to be on HBCU Go. These times are Central Time, so of course make that 3 Eastern. Another battle in the state of Mississippi. Valley travels to Alcorn. That's a 2 Central, 3 Eastern. Similar time, Jackson State traveling to UAPB. That'll be on ESPN Plus. Of course, the Magic City Classic is that game that'll be played in Birmingham between Alabama A&M and Alabama State. That's 2:30 Central, 3:30 Eastern. Our contest against Prairie View will be featured on ESPNU, 3 Central, 4 Eastern. And then the final game, 4 Central, 5 Eastern, Texas Southern traveling to Southern. One thing I didn't realize that Texas Southern had beaten Southern the last couple seasons. So that's got Southern fans a little nervous as well. Any games, what's 12 What's 12 p.m. Pacific? Oh, that's that's what time? Yes, if you're on the Pacific Coast, Karen, yeah, that's you'll be watching the FAMU game around noon. So noon your time. All right. I don't think there's. I mean, I don't know how you guys feel about the picks here. I think the only game that really is of interest, and I don't know if you see. Let's Magic City Classic. Marcus, Kelvin. Let's just kind of. I don't think there's an upset in any of these, but we can run through the horn. There's the game schedule, so we'll do the 5 games around it. So let's go around the horn. Let's go quickly to these games. Bethune at Grambling on HBCU Go. Marcus, who you got?
Grambling.
Kelvin.
Grambling.
Grambling's on a bye. Call me crazy. I'm crazy. Going Bethune off a bye or off a bad loss. Yeah, I said it. Call me crazy. I'm going Bethune. I don't trust Grambling. Anyway, Valley at Alcorn. Who you got, Marcus?
Alcorn.
Kelvin.
Alcorn.
I got Alcorn as well. Jackson State at UAPB. Who you got, Marcus?
Jackson.
Kelvin.
I love.
You know, and they don't think we have any love for them. I'm going Jackson State as well. Magic City Classic, Alabama A&M. Coach Cardell Maynard has only lost to Alabama State one time, which was last year, and he had a lead going into the fourth quarter before that game was lost. So, Marcus, A&M or Alabama?
I'm going to have to go with A&M. I don't know. They're really seem like they've turned the corner, and I'm not sure if I trust Alabama State's offense.
Kelvin.
I watched Alabama A&M and I believe it was Grambling, and the new quarterback that A&M is featuring is a runner. He ain't a great runner, but he's a big guy. And it seemed to catch Grambling off guard. They just didn't adjust to it. Outside of that, the offense was very pedestrian. I think I trust Alabama State defense more than I trust Alabama A&M offense. Plus, this is a get-back game. A&M has found ways to win, I think, the last couple of times. And Eddie Robinson need this W, so I'm going to go with Alabama State. But it's going to be a close game.
I'm rooting for Alabama State. I want us to be able to wrap up. So I'm going with Alabama State for selfish reasons, even though Cardell Maynard seems to have kind of owned this series. But I'm going with Alabama State. I'm going with the team that's got the better defense in this contest. So let me go with Alabama State, and then we get a chance to wrap up the SWAC division. Texas Southern at Southern. Texas Southern didn't look too shabby last week, and we've seen both of these opponents. Who do you got, Marcus?
I'm gonna pick Southern at home. I mean, I don't know, but it's gonna be if and I can't remember the young man's name. The running back. I mean, I know Southern has a good run defense. They showed it, and I don't know where they are statistically.
Darius Owens.
But if he comes out and has the similar success, and it's gonna be a tough game, but I'm gonna go with Southern.
Owens has done it the last 2 weeks. Did it against Bethune. Did it against us. He's done it. Kelvin, who you got?
And he's not a big guy. He's very thin, as a matter of fact. But he's a hard runner, and he got a burst to him. I like him. This is going to be a close game, but because Southern is home, I'm going to go with Southern.
Yeah, I would like to think Texas Southern as well, but I do think the edge to Southern. And the fact that they've lost to Texas Southern the last 2 times, I think, the last 2 years in a row, I think there'll be a little heightened sense of awareness with this game. I think Southern will come in a little more prepared than maybe previous years. All right, bowl prediction time. Prairie View at FAMU. I saw somewhere earlier that this was I think the Reddit FCS Twitter handle had made the line 19.5 points, to which I was like, where are you getting that line from? How in the heck do you think we are going to beat Prairie View by 19.5 points. But anyway, I'll be interested to see if and what the number comes out at. But any bold predictions? What's your bold prediction for this contest, Marcus? And I don't recall, by the way, what we did last week. So
yeah, I was going to ask you where we stood. I thought I'm trying to remember. I think mine was 150 yards and 2 TDs.
I'd have to go back and check the tape. I'll check the tape. I don't know. I don't know what it was. I didn't write it down. Sadly,
mine was 100-yard rushing. Mine was 100-yard rusher.
Oh, 100-yard rusher. One individual. Okay, well, you were about 17 off of that. Kelvin Dean wasn't too far away from that. Yeah, I don't even remember what mine was, but anyway, we'll go back and check it. So go ahead, Marcus. Your bold prediction for this contest.
That's a great question. My bold prediction: we actually score over 31 points.
There you go. That's bold, given the fact that 31's been our ceiling. That is bold. That is definitely bold. What do you got, Kelvin?
I trust our defense more. So, first shutout of the year.
You know what? I think that was my bold prediction last week. That was. I think I predicted us to hold Texas Southern to under 7 points. And sure enough, that didn't. We gave that one away real quick. So you're going with a shutout, huh?
Going with a shutout. Homecoming.
Hey, look, if Houston Baptist or Houston Christian can get a shutout, you got to think the best defense in FCS or one of the best defenses in FCS might be likely, huh? Is that the mindset there?
Yeah.
All right. Bold, very bold. Okay, my bold prediction. We haven't heard his name called a lot. Jamarie Shareed. I don't feel like we have, especially not going into the end zone. So I'm going to go Jamarie Shareed with 2 touchdowns. One as a special teams, most likely punt return. I don't think he does a lot of work on the kick return game. So most likely a punt return touchdown. And then I'm going Shareed with a pass reception touchdown. Now, I'm also putting an asterisk because if he scores off a jet sweep, I'm taking that one in 2. So I'm basically I'm saying an offensive. Okay, so let me clarify.
You cooking the books.
Okay, an offensive touchdown. There you go. That covers every possible way. Okay, except for if he throws a passing touchdown, I'm not going to count that because that doesn't, trick plays. I'm not going to be that bold. So I'm going special teams touchdown and an offensive touchdown. Let's see. Kylan says Musa running for 45 yards and a score. Hey, now that's bold. That's bold. That's definitely bold. Yeah, that's bold. Okay. Let me do one thing. I'm going to go back and answer a question here. Coach Marvin asked me the other day, how many HBCUs have had back-to-back undefeated regular seasons? Now,
this is football.
Yeah, football. Now, this came from, we were talking, I think, on Sunday's show about Benedict College. Benedict, kind of interesting hearing that Coach Simmons and Chennis Berry, the head coach of Benedict, have been having these phone conversations. That was kind of some interesting intel, which kind of came out over the last day or so. Two of the top teams, 2 top coaches having phone conversations. But anyway, so after doing the research in the modern era, now what we define as modern era is since we decided since Eddie Robinson retired, which was mid-90s, right? Didn't Eddie Robinson retire in the mid-90s?
I think so, 97. I'm guessing
6, 5, somewhere in there, I think. So that's what I'm considering the modern era. I was even going to say the last 40 years, but even if it were the last 30. Only one school has done what Benedict College is on the verge of doing, and that was the Winston-Salem State Rams in 2011 and 2012 under Connell Maynor. Those teams went undefeated in the regular season, and their only loss was in the playoffs One year, the 2011 year, they lost in the national semifinals. The following year, they lost in the national championship game.
To Valdosta State. I was there with Bill Hayes.
Yes. So that, Coach Marv, is in the modern era the last time that an HBCU went unbeaten in the regular season. So Benedict has something like I think Drew and I did the math. It's like a 22-game streak. They won like the 3 games at the end of 2011. Last year, they went 11-0 in the regular season, which also includes the SIC championship game. Okay, that's considered part of the regular season. And right now, they are sitting at 8-0. So they're on a 22-game regular season winning streak. And should they finish the season unbeaten and win the SIC, they would have gone 11-0 for 2 consecutive seasons, matching what Winston-Salem State did nearly a decade ago. So,
and I was thinking about this earlier this week, or after this weekend's games. South Carolina State might want to take a look.
My sources say that those conversations, or that is high on the priority wish list.
This isn't Benedict in Columbia, which is, I'm not sure, 100% sure where Benedict is located. I know it's in South Carolina. I don't know if it's in Columbia.
It's within an hour of Orangeburg, if I'm not mistaken. So it is not far at all. But yeah, it is very high on the list. You know, there was a lot of talk about another coach potentially taking over at South Carolina State, but it seems like the number one choice will be Chennis Berry, and it'll be up to Chennis Berry, I think, to decide if he wants to leave Benedict and head to South Carolina State. But hey, Benedict doing a great job of raising funds, and winning football does that. So who knows? I mean, they could raise some money and all of a sudden end up keeping their coach. And I would be.
No, they can't. No, they can't.
I mean,
they can't raise that kind of money. They can't afford at a D2 level. They cannot afford to pay what South Carolina State plays. So,
I mean, if I'm not mistaken, I just heard something about Benedict raising like $1.something million.
That ain't got nothing to do with football.
Well, but it could if they were really serious about it, right?
It's not happening. It's not happening, Captain.
Okay. All right. So plans for this weekend. We've got a potential. I know, Kelvin, we're working on the tailgate situation, trying to figure out how that's going to happen, where it's going to happen. We're also talking about a pregame show. And we're also talking about a watch party because Marcus, unfortunately, is not going to be traveling. So Marcus may be hosting a live watch party right from our YouTube page. So if you're not subscribed to the ONG StrikeZone YouTube page, it's the same as our Twitter, Instagram, Facebook handle. Go join our YouTube page there. I mean, you could also join the JBN Jericho Broadcast Networks too, but that watch party will most likely happen over there. So if you're not going to the game, let us know. Maybe we'll have you on with Marcus, and you can break down and do some live commentary watching a homecoming with Marcus. Send us an email, ongstrikezone@gmail.com, ongstrikezone@gmail.com. Let us know if you're not going to be there. That'll be good.
And we don't have a delay. What's that called in radio? We have a delay or something, so yeah, you got to keep your frustrations PG.
Yeah. Learn how to use your mute button.
If we have any frustrations, yeah.
If you want to curse you, yeah, hit your mute button. You go there. So, okay. Well, gentlemen, that's gonna do it for this show. It feels like Friday to me. I'm gonna have to do my best to make sure I wake up and don't just drive to Tallahassee. I still have to go to work for 2 more days, but I feel like I'm ready to go. I feel like I'm ready to get in the car and just head to Tallahassee. So, Marcus, any final thoughts or words you want to share tonight?
Just looking forward to Saturday and seeing what the boys going to do.
Saturday.
And also interesting commentary from Coach Simmons this week.
Yes, very.
Not only on I saw about half of the 220 QB Club interview. I didn't get to see all of it before tonight's show, but he had some interesting comments, and he also had some pretty interesting comments the other day. He had a guest spot on Off Script on Scotty.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming it was planned, but it wasn't on their initial graphic. But he popped in and he gave him an hour's worth of content, and I've noticed it seems like Coach Simmons seems to be a lot freer. It is maybe not in the SWAC media or even some of the weekly calls that he does with the local press, but when he gets in the QB Club or other interviews, it seems like feels a lot more liberated.
Yeah. What you're talking about is what Sweet is talking about. The on the Off Script channel, the Monday show called Outspoken. Coach Simmons came on and had a great conversation with Scotty and I forgot the other guy's name, but they touched on quite a few different topics. But listening to Coach talk about the perception that he and coaches have to deal with about FAMU, and it kind of goes along with this thing that I heard. Perry White, thank you guys. Perry White, thank you, is who does the show Outspoken with Scotty on Mondays. That whole thing about what the perceptions. I'm at a I teach at a private school, but it's the same thing that I have to sort of tell my kids, because for some reason there's this thought that, oh, FAMU is a party school. And I heard Coach Simmons bring this up, and I was like, he's sure right. And it's like, no, FAMU is not the party school. It's the school across the tracks. That's the damn party school. And we get kind of lumped in by association, or like he said, a few people who failed out or didn't do what they needed to do to finish at FAMU. And it's like, just talking positive, not only just talking positive. And I know, look, we do talk positive about FAMU, but we also gonna talk reality about FAMU, but also
honestly
about FAMU. But at the same time, what I think can be helpful more is when, for example, FAMU talks about various things, and there's sites that talk about FAMU related news from other entities at the university. Do we retweet and share those news stories with the same fervor that we retweet our cross-country team winning a SWAC title or our football team being ranked 14th in the nation by the AFCA? Probably not.
Okay.
You
mean the positive stories about FAMU?
Correct. The same fervor and enthusiasm. And I think that's where things could start to change, is that when we see those stories, we got to give those as much attention as we do the football championship and the cross-country championship stories as well.
I would agree. I would say individually, I think the three of us and probably a lot of folks who are in the chat will forward those positive stories. But even, Stephen Gaither from HBCU Game Day says, hey, the negative stories and the clicks tell the story. The negative stuff, and even when he posts a story that's tangentially related to HBCUs about Coach Prime, former J-State coach, it gets the clicks. So the numbers don't lie. And also to Tamara T's point, and we've all heard it, and we've seen the story, like even back, and Coach Simmons referenced it when we were College of the Year from Princeton Review and Time Magazine. U.S. News and Report, World and Report had a parallel rankings, they have the top schools and they have the party schools. And we know FSU and other schools were on the top, but it's us that's saying that stuff. I remember, like I said earlier, I remember, homecoming 88. So that, basically anybody's watched the show knows I'm freshman class 87. They were saying that back then, and they're probably saying it before then. And all the while, as Coach Simmons alluded to, the data says, just based on rankings or polling or whatever kind of data acquisition that they use, that U.S. News World Report or whoever does it, or Playboy magazine, back when Playboy magazines, they had a top 10 party school too. And there were no HBCUs on there.
Nope.
So it's us.
Had me wanting to go out to Arizona for some reason. You know what I'm saying? I saw that list. I was like, damn, I ought to go to Arizona.
Yeah, but it's us proliferating that. And, if it's untrue or if it's just overblown from a standpoint of someone who didn't do well in school, or just somebody telling what they heard, or the fact that, hey, college kids have fun, and then, okay, somebody having fun and doing stuff, or the video, even the video that you show for homecoming, and then somebody makes an assumption. But we have to be careful about the words that we speak and how it
education
reinforces, how it reinforces in some people's minds. If they already have either a neutral or a negative connotation about HBCUs, it only reinforces that in their minds.
I think one of the biggest things that we could tell people is we are one of the top 100 universities in the nation. Not just, we can talk about being a top HBCU, but for some people, they need to hear it in broader terms. And so the broader truth is we are one of the top 100 overall, regardless of being Ivy, HBCU, Christian, whatever designation.
I was just gonna say, man, sometimes I think we focus too much on the haters. I mean, haters gonna hate. So, people tend to gravitate to whatever their position was, whether you give them facts or not. So, there many people you're trying to convince and so forth. It's really, the truly, anybody who does any kind of just basic research knows FAMU is a academic pillar. So I for me, I don't even like talking about it because, at the end of the day, from a media standpoint, negative stuff draws more clicks, draws more attention. Positive stuff, like you try to allude to, get buried. It's been that way since the beginning of time. So, I don't give it a lot of energy. Now, I will say in terms of Coach Simmons and his statements, I thought he had some real insight in a lot of things he said, but also I hope it's part of his growth and what he's learned from. For instance, he mentioned about quarterbacks and his philosophy with that, and so I'm assuming he learned from the Rashawn McKay situation, and that's where his loyalty, comes from now. So and there was a couple other, little things like that. But it's homecoming. We finna have a good time, and we finna get this W and win the SWAC East. You said the West earlier, SWAC East.
Oh, thank you. I would just, I would just say, the funny perception is reality for a lot of people, and I all I'll say is I listen to. Sometimes when you don't talk and you just listen to high school students, you'd be amazed at the stuff that they don't know, and you just be like, where do you get this info from? And it's scary, the influence of TikTok and social media. I'm not saying that, but those perceptions that kids are fighting are also perceptions that uneducated, and I mean that in a nice way, uninformed, maybe is a better way of saying it, uninformed parents, that you Kelvin are an informed parent. You, Marcus, are an informed parent. You wouldn't be led astray by nonsense like that. But there are many more, many more uninformed parents who will get led astray. And so I think what Coach was getting at is when he goes into these homes, that's what he's fighting. He's fighting the uninformed again, to inform them, because other uninformed parents may be talking. And a lot of times it can be kids. I've heard, it's crazy. But anyway, that's a whole nother show for a whole nother time. So we want to get out of here. We want to thank you guys for joining us tonight. Again, keywords: hydrate, take it slow, get rest, stretch, hydrate some more, and keep your eyes open.
Pace yourself.
Yeah,
Don't end up on social media. Don't end up on social media with your face down and your legs up. I'm just telling
you. Yeah, I was gonna say turn off the cameras, delete that footage.
Yes.
Hey, homecoming for real in Tallahassee, baby.
Man, take a nap where you can get one, even if it's in your car. Lock the door. Hopefully you got tinted windows, whatever. Do what you need to do to take a nap.
Leave the window cracked.
Yeah, leave the window cracked or whatever. But more importantly, I just want to say, let's have a safe weekend. We all know what's been going on out there at various homecomings. Let's keep our eyes open for each other. And you see something, report it. You see something that don't look right, say something. Let's not have blinders on just because we're enjoying ourselves. Okay, it's gonna be a lot of folks in town, and hopefully everyone is safe. You guys be safe. I look forward to seeing you. Be checking out with us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We'll let you know where we're gonna be at. We want to see you this weekend. What's the color theme this weekend? Is it orange or is it
orange?
Orange. Okay, thank you. The color choice is orange. So,
and I'll send you a graphic. They put one out the beginning of the season we only got 2 home games.
I remember seeing that. Yeah, but I thought pink was kind of in the theme as well, because it's
breast cancer.
Breast cancer awareness.
But the color is orange. It's homecoming. You can't wear pink on the homecoming.
I can't. I know that. I'm no AKA, so I can't. But okay. Okay. So that's gonna do it for tonight's show. Thank you again to Cardell Thomas. Make sure to follow him on Twitter and Instagram. Make sure you go check out his vegan gumbo event on Friday, and be looking out for him. More importantly, look out for his mother. Look for his family. Gate 1 is what I was told on Saturday. That's what he said. So we appreciate Cardell coming on at the beginning of the show. And then, of course, Dr. Kenyatta, Cavil, and Charles Bishop. We appreciate them coming in as well. That's going to do it for this homecoming show. For Marcus Green and Kelvin Rozier, I'm Brian Fulford. Rattlers, happy homecoming. Fangs up. Make sure to strike, and strike again. And we'll see everybody in Tallahassee this weekend. Peace out, family.
You know what time it is.
Yes, sir.